Best in the business, Heidi Harris is going to share with us how she maintains and has 99.7333 bunch of threes percentage conversion rate of her past clients. All right, I am joined by my good friend, Heidi Harris, the best in the business, in my opinion, especially when it comes to making sure that she's got her past clients and her sphere of influence on lock. This is what's going to be fun, Heidi, as we go through this is the number percentage-wise is 99.7333, a bunch of threes on your percentage of making sure that your past clients do business with you again. Talk to me a little bit about what that looks like for you. I think you said you've only had 2 people that have done business with you in the past that did other. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, and introduce kind of what we're going to talk about as far as this client retention.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks, Jimmy. So what I realized was there's some stat that says something like 91% of realtors, after they do a deal with somebody, never contacts that person again.
Right.
And to me, that's unacceptable. No, I love it because then I'm going to come get your clients. But for everybody else, I think that's unacceptable. So then I started thinking about, the average person knows 12 realtors. So I want them to not just know me, but continue to choose me. Mm-hmm. And for my clients, I've been really blessed that I stay in front of them. Jimmy, you know that I love to stay sticky. By sticky, I mean, I want them to remember me. I want them to see me everywhere that they turn around, because I want them to think, when they think real estate, I want them to think Heidi Harris. Yes. So I had 2 past clients not use me. And one of them was in insurance, and I helped her buy a house. She wanted to scratch the back of another realtor who's been sending her a lot of business. I get it. She used her to list her home. And then the other one was a friend of mine who just knew so many realtors that she was afraid to hurt somebody's feelings. So she just used a complete stranger. So as I started diving into this idea and what feeds this machine to make sure that my clients continue to use me, continue to refer me, I started thinking of a list of things that I do that I can share with you all today about what has helped keep my clients coming back, trusting the brand, and supporting our brand.
Yeah. And Heidi, this is what I love about this. We're going to get super practical. Listen, I want to encourage people. This is one of those that you're probably going to need to listen to, watch a couple, 3 times, because there's so much depth to this. And I don't want people to get discouraged, because listen, I know Heidi, because we've known each other for a little while now. This didn't start out at where it is today. So if you're listening to this, don't get overwhelmed that Heidi's doing all of these things. Start taking steps with these. Once you begin to take the steps and you start getting the results, it's way easier to layer in another one. So let's just get super practical on the things that you do and kind of how this starts foundationally with the things that you do. And let's just walk them through for everybody.
Great. The first thing that I do is I do 3 friends and family events a year. Notice I did not say client appreciation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate all of my friends and families and my clients. But I feel like when you say client, it kind of makes it feel kind of stale. So our friends and family events, I have 3 different ones, and they all serve very different purposes. In the late winter, early spring, I have a ladies only event. It's a girls' night out. It is a champagne party, a wine party, whatever it is. If anybody is interested in seeing how we do this, feel free to email me. My email address is heidi@homesweetheidi.com. I will send you the invitation. It's a little bit of a tricky party, because what you're doing is you're asking the gals, and first of all, let's face this, most women are the ones making the decisions on who's picking a realtor. So I love this one. But basically what the women are doing is they're bringing 2 of their favorite kinds of wine. So if it's a white wine theme, it's 2 of the same bottles. And they're wrapping one so you can't see it. The other one just goes into a box when they get to our party. And basically what we're doing is a blind taste test of wines. The women start tasting them. You get to vote on which one you like the best. And if your wine wins, you get the box of wine that's underneath the table to take home with you, right? And there's no better icebreaker than getting a little bit of tipsy on some wine and meeting women. And they've developed these amazing friendships that come after it. I've got a great friend who I knew her, and then she came to one of my wine parties, and she just bought a $1 million something house off market 3 weeks ago because of it. I met her last July. So It's a great party. Women love it. Women want to be invited, which is cool too, because it's kind of like a who's who, which is perfect for me. Another one that I do is in the summer, we do a family picture. So for example, here in Raleigh, we have these beautiful sunflower fields, and I have my photographer come out and take pictures of the family. And the way that that works is there's a sign in. There's also a sign in for the wine party. This one, I mean, they'll add, phone number, address, email address, whatever, so that we can, if they're not already in our database, we can build it. But the cool thing about the photography one is we're getting their email address so that we can send them the email with the picture in it. And they get that normally within 24 hours. The thing about these sunflower fields is it's North Carolina in July. It's hot as the dickens. No kids want to be out there, right? So we make it enjoyable. We've got ice cream if the kids smile afterwards. Everybody loves a bribe. And then we get that out to them. They post it on social media. A lot of them end up tagging us, which is awesome, because all that does is expand our reach, which is great. Our third event is I was anti-pie day. Every realtor loves giving away a pie on Thanksgiving. And I was like, not me, not going to do it. Well, I did it and I fell in love with it. So we give out pies the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That one's really great because I get to see my clients. They come through my cul-de-sac. We already have their contact information because these are just past clients, right? So this is a VIP one. This is not friends and family. This is past clients also, or sorry, only past clients. So this is like the reward of using us. You get this pie. And we get to catch up for a minute, and that's great. But then they bring it to their family on Thanksgiving, and they get to say, my realtor brought this. Right. And then that's when I get introduced to the rest of the family. So each of them, everybody loves when you do something for their kids. Everybody knows that the woman's the decision maker when hiring a realtor. And then the other one's just loving on our people in a thankful season anyway. So those are our 3 friends and family events to stay in front of our sphere.
Heidi, each of them are individually just great. And what I would love to do, because listen, I think there may be some people out here that say, well, gosh, I can't do all 3, but I could do one of these. So I want to get really down in the dirt with a couple of these. Okay. So let's start with the ladies only event. I want to talk about, first off, how do you make the list that you have? Then also, do you encourage them to invite other ladies? What's the cost for you? And how do you send out the invitations and get your RSVP list?
Perfect. So it's every woman that I know, because you've got to think the most expensive part of this party is the booze, and they're bringing it themselves. All I have to worry about is food. So that really brings down the cost. I've always had it sponsored. So and every year it's gotten bigger, but you got to think the first one I ever had was 75 women. It was in my house. It was no guests, just the women. I think it cost me $650.
$650 after the sponsor or before the sponsor?
Including the sponsors paid $650. It was just food. I just had a ton of
$0 to you.
$0 to me.
So when you say a sponsor, because not everybody may know, is this a lender? Is this a title company? Who is your sponsor?
So North Carolina is a closing attorney state. So our closing attorney paid for that one. But now, every year it's grown. So this past year we had 150 women come out. They all bring a guest. What I've learned is it's hard to schedule it, right? So there's a lot of people that want to come that can't come or whatever. But anyway, we had 150 people. I allowed them to bring a guest because that's just adding more people to my sphere.
Right.
Jimmy, I am on a mission to add people to my sphere. I want as many people as possible to come to my funeral, right? So like every day when I wake up, like I'm just recruiting people. So 150 people. All women. And this year it was pretty expensive. This year it came to $14,600.
Really?
But it was all sponsored. So mortgage lender, closing attorney, our movers, our home inspector, and my local Berkshire Hathaway threw in a little bit too. So that's been awesome. And it works. Like last year, I already told you about my friend that just bought that $1 million+ property. She knew me and then really met me there. And then I've just been her go-to since. And it's been awesome. It's been a game changer.
Yeah, this is one of those where we continuously talk about the fact that, listen, your sphere of influence, those past clients, those clients that already know, like, and trust you, and those referrals they send, which this touches all of those. This is the way that we drive those relationships. And so let's really, how do you do the invitations on this? Is it email? Is there an RSVP? All of those practical things.
It used to be a mailed invitation. Now we've switched it to Evite, simply because I like the reminder that Evite does.
Right.
And now that we've built our database enough to have everybody's email address, that's really easy. And if we don't have their email address, it's the perfect reason to be like, hey, we're going to invite you to the Ultimate Girls Night Out. What's your email address? I'm going to send it to you. So Evite's been a lot better. It's also cheaper. I'm just kind of old school. I liked the invitation, but as this grew and I wanted to remind people, it's coming up next week or whatever, Evite's been lovely.
That's awesome. And so let's shift now to the sunflower seeds and the photography, because I love the way you do this also, because it keeps the cost down as well. Talk about kind of who you invite, expenses, those types of the same things we just talked about.
Yeah. So expenses is simply the photographer, and they book on an hourly rate. So what I do is I do a sign up genius, and I send out times that people can come and sign up. I think it was like, for every 30 minutes, I think we had 4 families, because it's just a quick thing getting them out there. Right. Just a couple, I think that they get like 5 or 6 shots depending on how the kids are acting. And really what that is that's taking our entire list, our entire sphere, and inviting everybody on that. July is also an interesting time because a lot of people are vacationing. So not everybody that can come or that wants to come can come, but the invitation matters, right? So Sign Up Genius has been great for that. And then we do Evite for the actual invitation.
Great. And I don't know how you do this on the cost. You're paying the photographer, I guess, right?
It's sponsored, but yeah.
Yeah, that's sponsored. Yeah, it's great. And let me tell you kind of a spin on this. I've got another friend of mine up in Wisconsin. He did this, and he actually had 400 families show up this past December for his. It was incredible. And what he did was he had the photographer, actually, he had the photographer come in there, and actually the photographer said, look, I'm going to provide 1 photo for each family and then give them the option to buy additional photos. It's well worth my time, gets me exposure as the photographer. And it cost him $0 on the photography side, which was pretty impressive when you had that. Ended up, as many as they had booked, they ended up bringing in like 5 or 6 different photographers that were just shooting the whole time. So such a cool thing. And when you're doing that, when you said you had sponsors, are you providing, like you said, the ice cream? Are you providing some of those things, or is that all sponsor paid for?
All sponsored.
That's incredible. Yeah. And again, another great way for you to be doing this. As far as reaching out to this group, you're just emailing your entire database on this, or how are you doing that? Yeah.
So for the Sign Up Genius, we use a link, and then we're emailing them saying, hey, this is what we're doing, when we're doing it. To claim your spot, this is what you got to do. We'll also make sure that you see our ice cream truck afterwards. And Jimmy, the cool thing about this that I didn't realize, because I was trying to do something that involved kids, involved families, was the people that are out there with their selfie sticks and their families are just like melting. And then they see Home Sweet Heidi over here with like their professional photographer and the ice cream. They want to be a part of that. So they'll come over and be like, how do I get on this list for next year? Yeah. So that's been really cool too.
That is great. All right, let's talk about the Pie Day, because I know you fought this. I remember you and I talking about this, and then now it's become almost like an event that it's kind of everybody's looking forward to it. Tell about the practicality of buying the pies, also kind of the pickup, because I thought this was unique what you do there.
Yeah, so in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm based out of, Angus Barn is like the restaurant to go to. If somebody comes and visits, that's where they want to go. Well, they've got this quintessential pie called a chocolate chess pie that everybody raves about. And so what we did is they only let 2 people pick up pies each year, because they only have so much space to store them. So we're always first on that list. We already have our pies reserved for next year. You better believe it. And so, but also that gives us a maximum, like, hey, you better sign up now to make sure you have your pie. But the way that we do that is we email everybody. Again, it's a Sign Up Genius that we invite them to, and they get to pick half-an-hour slots. So like 3 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4 or whatever, and they pick it there. But my house is in a cul-de-sac. So what we do is we have signage going up to my house. And so people get to come. We've got pink balloons because our logo color is pink. And then they come through, and then they go through the cul-de-sac, and they come in, they say hi. Some people get out of the car, some people don't. It's a fun environment. And a lot of my people will like park their car and get out and talk to us for a while. Some people just cruise on through. But it's been a great way to just see people, and also they get to see my home. It feels kind of like warm and fuzzy there. Originally, I wanted it to be like a party inside of my home and they got to come up and go into it, but COVID had other plans. But really just the cul-de-sac and coming in and out has been awesome.
Yeah. And I'm assuming people are stopping, kind of, we've talked about this before. People are stopping, pulling out lawn chairs, sometimes just hanging with y'all for a little bit.
Yep.
Super fun. And so when you send this email out, it's basically just an email out to the database. Once they're gone, they're gone. So you kind of encourage them that way to get those things signed up. What about the person that calls and says, oh, I can't make that time period? Would y'all have any kind of follow up after the fact for any of this?
Yeah. So we always have somebody that either that day they can't make it, or they say, hey, I can't come this day. Can I do blah, blah, blah. So it really is a client by client basis. Like if they're right around the corner, then I am absolutely going to go and hand deliver this sucker. Okay. Right. But if they are like, hey, can I swing by tomorrow? It's November in North Carolina, leaving a pie out in November. It's cool enough that it's not going to go bad. So I'll just say, hey, it's on my front porch, and I'll write them a little letter saying, hey, sorry, I missed you. Hope you enjoy the pie. Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you, or whatever. So always the day after this event, I've got pies just out on my front porch for people to come and pick up. But it's been great. The amount of text messages I get, the love that I get back from this has been, I fought this thing.
I know you did.
It's painful to say how much I love it, but I love it.
That's so good. Hey,
and that's also sponsored.
And that's what I'm going to say. You bring up the sponsors again. So look, a lot of people may be saying, well, gosh, how did that conversation go? And, I think this is something that easily I could answer, but I'd love to hear what your opinion is. How did you approach your sponsors the first time? And what did you say? And how did you sell them on the value?
Well, the first sponsor that I had is my mortgage lender, and he's really turned into such a dear friend of mine. But he's like, hey, if you're ever doing something that you need a sponsor for, just let me know. And then I made sure that he got over the top delivery on this sponsorship. So like when you pick up that pie we printed off these, like where you can go to Staples and buy the stickers that you can just design and print off yourself. So we did Hap Pie instead of happy, Hap Pie, Thanksgiving from Home Sweet Heidi, and then his logo. And so to open up the pie, to get into the pie, you have to see that, right? And then on my front yard, we've got those big signs that go in the front yard that say Hap Pie Thanksgiving. And we've got his logo right next to it. When people come by and pick up their pie, we have an Excel spreadsheet of who RSVP'd and who used this mortgage lender in the past. When I see them coming up, I go, because I've got to mark off who's picked up their pies. So I'm like, okay, here's Sharon. And I go and I see that there's a dot next to her so that I know that she's used him. And I'm like, this guy that you used sponsored the pies. And she's like, oh, that's great. He's been great, whatever. So I make sure that he got that value. After I started working with him, other people have contacted me about it, or I've contacted them and just given them a rundown of, this is not us just trying to get your money and run. Like, this is a true friend, family, like when you're in the trenches taking grenades, this is our go-to person for X. And we just want to make sure that when they see your logo up at our wine party, that they know that when they're doing business with us and they need a home inspector, we're connecting the dots there. So that's been really great. Our sponsors are very happy to do it. It took a little bit of work and honestly, like a little bit of awkward conversations at first, but just like anything, eat the crust first, like just like go for it, ask for it. The worst thing that they can say is no, and then you can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such good advice. And to be perfectly frank, most of those folks are looking for opportunities to support and to be able to be a part, because they know by doing that, the relationship with you is going to grow together. So let's talk about this. Obviously, those are 3 times a year. There's some gap times there. What are you doing consistently to stay in touch with those folks to make sure that you keep them on lock as well?
Everything. So we send out postcards every month. And for example, this is a postcard everybody can do. It says, do you know your home's current value? Because everybody wants to know. So then on the back, it's like, hey, this is who I am. Scan this QR code and I'll get you what your home's current value is. And Jimmy, I know that we were talking before we hopped on here, but there's people that scan this that are not on my list, which means that they're giving it to their neighbors. So I've got notes here going out to neighbors of, hey, I ran some numbers for you. Here's what it is. If you want to know an approx, because I give them a range because I haven't been inside their house. Yeah. If you want to know the exact value, like, here's my contact information. I'd love to come out and schedule a time to meet with you. So that was really cool. But I like the idea of every month giving somebody something so that they feel like they need to give something back to me. Right. And postcards, the the postage is less than normal mail. So it makes it a lot easier to do that. And then for the person that creates it, they send it out for us. We just have it a Google, what's it called? A Google Doc that has all of our sphere in there. As we add new people, it adds it to it automatically. They just go right there and they send it out for us. So that's been really great and easy, less time on my hands there.
That's monthly, correct? You're touching
every month.
Okay, great. And you had the home value. What are some of the examples of some of the other postcards that are going out to them? Just anything in particular?
There's so many. Like, for example, after we did our pie giveaway with the Angus Barn chocolate chess pie, I guess that was December's postcard. We gave out how to make the chocolate chess pie. Here's the recipe for the famous pie, right? So recipes are always a hit. Oh gosh, where is it? It's my favorite one ever. Every year for Halloween, we all get dressed up. So this is our League of Our Own one. And so it's just saying that we're in a league of our own, right? So there's always something cute and whatever that we can put on here. But our team has a Google sheet where we just we plan it for the year. And so when it comes to, we just need our designer to do it. And then we just need our printer to print it. But every month it's a little different. And for right now, our one next month is about, should you sell on the open market? Should you sell off the market, or should you stay put? Here's pros and cons of it. Because I feel like people are just talking about it and craving that information right now. And everything that I'm doing, Jimmy, I'm adding value. That's right. I want them to know that I am the person in Raleigh, North Carolina, if you're going to sell a house.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying top of mind, adding value consistently. I heard someone say recently, that we are in the business of a race to see who can add the most value. And these are all those kind of things that do. Now let's talk about, obviously that's on a monthly basis. I know social media wise, you stay in touch with everybody almost daily. Well, daily. So let's talk about kind of your focus on the social media side to make sure that you're staying in contact with these folks as well.
Well, thank you. And I welcome everybody to go ahead and follow me. I'm just at Home Sweet Heidi. That's on Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, and steal my ideas, like tag me in them as you do it, because it works. But I want to add value, and I want to show my face every day. So I am constantly, like last week, I found a house that was for sale. Our average price point is $410,000. I found a house for sale for $70,000, and I was so jacked up about it. So I posted about this on Instagram just because that's fascinating. And it's been on the market for over 400 days. So it's like, what's wrong with this house? There's got to be something wrong. So then I went out to the house. On my way out to the house, my attorney calls me and says, "Hey, I just saw your story. I just did a little bit of research. There's meth in that house. Like, you probably shouldn't go." And I didn't want to tell everybody, "Hey, there's meth in that house." But I was like, "Hey, my attorney told me not to go in there." But what I'm doing is I'm engaging people. I'm drawing them in. Behind the scenes, the amount of people that were commenting and asking me questions about this was incredible. Right. A client that I sold a house to 2 years ago was like, "Hey, my house isn't $70,000, but can we connect next week? I think we want to sell." So it's just like, it's just the opportunities. And again, I want to be top of mind when they know 12 other realtors. How do I make them pick Heidi Harris? So social media has been absolutely huge for us. We do 20% of our business from social media.
And Heidi, you're the queen of getting referrals from other markets with social media. I think sometimes we always think, it's the people that I know here. But when you're doing those things, you're acting such as a filter and keeping you top of mind for all those referral sources. You want to speak to that and kind of what you've seen through that as well.
Actually, okay. So when I saw this $70,000 house, it's a city called Wendell, which is probably like 15 minutes from here. I had a listing appointment in Wendell from a realtor that follows me on social media, said, "Hey, I've got a buddy that needs to sell. Can you go meet with him?" So I was there anyway. I was running comps for him, which is how I found this house. So not only is the social media working with other realtors, and you know me, Jimmy, I love paying referral fees. So I make sure that when I'm on social, I'm adding value to the general public, but I also want to add value to other realtors. And I make sure that before I post anything, I want to make sure it's on brand, meaning something that I would say. I want to make sure that I'm adding value, and I want to make sure that I'm leaving the door open for business. And that is to the general public and other realtors.
And I think what you do really well is being so authentic. Everything is, it's completely you. There's no put on here. It's exactly who you are. It acts as a natural filter for you. So, all right, we talked about the 3 times a year events. We've talked about the monthly newsletter. We've actually also talked about now the social media being a daily thing. You mentioned it earlier that your whole goal is to continue to grow your database. Yep. I know that, you know, as a friend, we've talked about, you know, just keeping that sanity. Are there some things you've been doing to do that has actually led to this as well?
Yes. So I recently started, I've always done it. I just actually put a name on it and put it in my calendar. I call this my power hour. And my power hour is very different than it used to be in college. But my power hour is that 1 hour a day that I carve out to make sure that I am meeting new people or being around my sphere. So for example, I take tennis lessons at a country club. I am horrible. Okay, I don't play tennis. I take tennis lessons because I am horrible. I mean, we go out there. I've got a friend that wears maxi pad with wings because she just pees her pants because we're laughing so hard. Okay. So like we just go out, we're having a good time, but that's my power hour. So not only is it good for my sanity, but I'm also around 8 women. Remember, women are most likely the ones making the decision of who to use as a realtor. But I'm out there, I'm feeding my brain, but I'm also feeding my business from this. So that's been absolutely huge. One of my tennis gals is building a $3 million house with me. And again, our average price point is $410. So that's
you didn't know her before starting
no.
tennis lessons?
Nope.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That's so incredible. What else are you doing? I mean, obviously that's not the only thing you're doing to get out and about around people. Anything else that you do or you try to focus on with those?
So at least once a week, I'm trying to have a lunch with somebody. So, you know, whoever comes up to mind or, you know, we're texting, I'm like, hey, let's just get together for lunch. That's always big. You know me, Jimmy, I always say that the least amount of money I make is behind a computer. So I'm trying to get out and meet people. I want to do things that are authentic to me. I'm not very good at being fake. So I want to do, you know, the terrible tennis lessons, like that's so on brand for me. But I mean, going to parties, actually, what's cool is I used to dread going to my kids' birthday parties because I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna really have to do that? That's a moneymaker. So I'm there, I've got my brand on, like I'm just, you know, talking to people and real estate always comes up. So to me, like on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, I want to be at somebody's like bounce house. That's where I want to be. So anywhere that I can be out in front of people is my power hour for sure.
Yeah, that is so great. Well, listen, Heidi, every single time we talk, I feel like I'm smarter after I get done talking with you. I know that people got value out of this. If you've got a referral, Raleigh, North Carolina area, obviously, hook it up with Heidi. Heidi, you want to just tell everybody how they can find you one more time to make sure that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's at Home Sweet Heidi. So it's like Home Sweet Home, but Home Sweet Heidi, HEIDI. I'm also the same one on Facebook. You can email me at Heidi@homesweetheidi.com or call me at 919-946-3292. Again, that's 919-946-3292.
You're the best, Heidi.
Awesome.
Appreciate everything you do for all of us. I mean, for the industry as a whole. And just thank you for everything, my friend. I know y'all got some value out of this. Reach out, let Heidi know how much you appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.